Good evening, friends, and welcome to evening prayer with the folks from Trinity United Church in Prince George, British Columbia. Today is the 9th of April. Every evening at 8 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time, we gather together and share in this ancient Christmas of ending the day with prayer. It's an opportunity to ground ourselves in holy mystery, to root ourselves in hope and love and peace and joy. It's an opportunity to remind ourselves that no matter how challenging the day might have been, there are always opportunities, always surprises, always ways that we can ground ourselves in God's presence. And yet it's also important to acknowledge the realities of the day so that they lose some of their ability to generate fear and anxiety. It's a chance to come together and also name the opportunities that have existed in this day. And so this evening we once again name what this day has brought our way. We light candles and place them in the window so that the shadows lengthen and one day comes next that their light might go out into the world, reminding us all that it goes with us and we are never truly alone. Prince George, we putting hearts in our windows for folks as they go about their daily routine, as people come and go and walk their dogs, take kids outside to get some movement, so they can spot those hearts and know that they're loved, cared for, and valued. And so we reflect on the day that has been. Traditionally, this would have been Maundy, Thursday, and it would have been filled with gatherings for people, particularly of the Christians, and Passover for those of the Jewish tradition. We would have reenacted some of the Christian stories for those of us who walk in the way of Jesus, embodying what it means for the leader, for the boss, to stoop down on the floor and wash the dirt of the day off the feet of his companions. The complete opposite of what society still tells us to expect. And so the first story is Jesus as servant leader to take shape and take root in the Christian psyche. What an evening when we would have reenacted parts of communion and acknowledged their roots. And once again appreciated the very Jewish nature of Jesus. And we would have seen and felt once again that deep connection to the Abrahamic faith. I miss that. maybe more this year than any other year. There have been certainly times when I haven't done a Maundy, Thursday worship or attended one, where I have or haven't done foot washing, where I have or haven't been part of communion.
And yet, for some reason, this year, that seems extra hard.
It's a day that's been filled with reminders that things are not, quote unquote, normal. It's a day when the number of folks who have died from COVID in Canada went over 500. And the number of people that have recovered also increased, as well as the number of people who have been diagnosed. It's a day when we've heard
some good news in the sense that federal programs are
rolling out the way we'd all hoped that they would have. Folks are being cared for when their jobs have disappeared. It's a day when we acknowledge that some employers have called people back to work, trying to find other ways to take advantage of the time, try to keep as many
people as possible. It's also a day when I was reminded
that it isn't just things like toilet paper and flour and
rice and yeast that have become in short supply
because of the regular systems that keep all of those products moving.
But for
the drug trade, that has also been the case. And it's harder and harder to find the drugs that people are addicted to. And the ones they can find, well, they're being packaged with more and more dangerous things to stretch out the supply.
So
folks are forced
to do more and more dangerous things to engage
risk
or behavior.
Addiction and to afford what they need. And so the number of drug overdoses
has increased.
We name the reality that domestic violence is increasing. The longer that folks are forced to stay in close quarters with one another.
We're reminded that home is not
always the safe place that Hallmark
would have us believe.
We acknowledge this is typically a long weekend filled with celebration. Often families are making their first trips to cottages or to relatives to spend Easter weekend with them.
This year we are being told,
do not do that. Stay home. Have a virtual Easter dinner. And yet that doesn't
really feel like Easter.
We're reminded that the continuing physical distancing and
Isolation takes its toll
on people in body and mind and spirit, that the isolation can become isolating. And that's never
a good thing.
And so if you need to, please reach out. And if you know someone that you haven't heard from in a while, please reach out. The one thing we need more than ever right now is a sense of human connection. So that person
For someone.
We're also reminded that businesses keep finding interesting and innovative ways of reminding us what 2 meters or 6 feet of physical distance looks like. This one from the local Costco store. Huge tires stacked 4 high and tight together, closer than 2 meters.
The person behind the counter. One of the ways that folks are becoming inventive.
And today, I thought I'd share this image with you. It's a supper done by Kobe Feldmoss. The colors are great. The sense of presence great when you step back from it. But it's the black dribble of paint. That may have been meant to look like it was ruined before, but it feels kind of right. That in the midst of that meal,
there was something else going on.
I think it's a helpful reminder for those of us that try to walk way. That we often idealize our faith, that we think it can attain some kind of perfection. That we just pray hard enough or believe hard enough or ponder scripture hard enough that somehow we'll be better Christians. That if we were all back in our church buildings, we would be. I don't think that's true. I don't think it's ever been true.
One of the things this pandemic has brought to the forefront.
It isn't.
Never was.
About buildings.
It is about people gathered around tables, whether they're physical or
virtual. The Christian tradition has always and will always be about connection in community.
And so as this day
turns into Good Friday, may we be reminded that sometimes to make changes, to care for the most vulnerable, our own traditions, our own ways of being, our own systems, are the ones that have made it very easy for some and very hard for others. They need to be changed. We need to let those go so that we can create space for something new. And so this evening, let's lit our hearts in the windows. Bring to mind names and faces and events and places that we would hold in prayer. Move minds from that very cerebral place to our hearts. And we hold them there. And so we pray. God of today, of tomorrow, and time in between. You in countless great traditions and empires rise and fall, and humanity learn and change and forget. Us with a radical, prodigal abandonment. Rushes out to greet us and welcome us home. You who serves your neighbor, who loves your neighbor as your very self, who was willing to risk it all so that we might come to a deeper understanding of our very nature as human beings. As we remember fastness of history, their woven presence into the very fabric of our beings. We give thanks for this day, for the blessings has brought us, the challenges and opportunities, things it has nurtured and sustained us, and challenged us. We give you thanks for those who continue to go, those that we've labeled as essential. We give you thanks for those that serve as the last line of defense. For all those in the healthcare fields, for all the civil servants, for all the folks that keep utilities moving, who make sure that food moves from point A to point B and goods still travel a huge distance. We hold them pray for our leaders, for our premier, our chief medical
officer, our
minister of health, we pray for our prime minister, and for all those elected leadership trying to figure out what to do next. We hold them in prayer. For those whose names we don't know, for the people who live across the street from us or just down the road,
we pray for those who are lonely,
and those who are alone.
for those who aren't this evening, those who find themselves in situations facing the very real threat of physical and mental, verbal, emotional, spiritual violence. For those wrestling the challenges of addictions,
And their families and their loved ones who do the best they can.
we pray for families with kids still wrapping their heads around online learning,
For parents who are trying to work from home.
and parent and teach, courage, strength, and patience.
We pray for the communities that will gather virtually to celebrate important
Faith moment
in the love.
to their communities. May the messages that they hear bring comfort
And challenge.
may they find support and care
And understanding and community.
in the rituals they will share together. And so we pause.
And we hold in prayer people and world events. And so we pray for Jocelyn, Darlene, Leo, Steve G, Judy W and Wally, Ray and Marion, Rose N,
Aaron, Dave Lee, Courtney and her
unborn baby, Rachel and her unborn baby, Joe M, Karen L, my
Jim and Sylvia,
Laura B,
George CG,
and so many others that we carry within our hearts often places we're too afraid to go. Ground us in your presence, O God. Bring us comfort. Help our fear decrease. Help us to remember that we're all in this together. And we need to find ways of being compassionate and caring and understanding with and for one another. And in so doing, help us to be your people and to build your kingdom right here. Amen. Friends, wherever you
Find this evening
hope it is a place
where you can be safe, be calm,
and be community. If that
isn't true, please reach out for help. If you know that isn't for someone else, please reach out to them.
every evening we
Here for prayer at 8 p.m.
time. From the folks here at Trinity United Church,
British Columbia, we hope this evening is one in which you can find a gentle rest,
and that it nurtures and sustains you in body, mind, and soul. And that you'll gather tomorrow evening
for evening prayer.